Al Leiter here on the Rich Eisen Show. We had Dave Roberts on yesterday, and I pointed out the number of players, significant players, bold face name players that are jobless right now, and asked him if the Dodgers would be interested in any of them, and he said they're done. They're done right now. One would imagine all the way through to July. So what do you think, Al?
Listen, I think everybody's trying to bottom fish right now with respect to some of the names out there. I am really, really surprised how Craig Kimbrell does not have a job out there, or a guy like Dallas Keuchel.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a year's issue. I don't know if they're AAV. But how these guys aren't in a big league uniform today is very, very odd to me. How could I mean, you talk about the Dodgers right there. I mean, Kenley, let's figure his, the heart problems
Right.
past him. I really like Joe Kelly, but come on, you talk about in this day and age, especially a sabermetric team like the Dodgers, you couldn't use a Craig Kimbrell. Now, I'm just throwing it out there, and I know Kimbrell's deserving and should be a closer somewhere, but that'd be a real nice arm. The rotation, not that they need another left-hander with Ryu and Rich Hill, but if you can get Keuchel on a one-year deal, that doesn't work for so many of the playoff teams that are looking for, especially if their rotation drops off after 1, 2, 3. Your 4, 5s are pretty weak on some of even the playoff teams.
This might be an odd way to question about the Dodgers here with a young player like Seager and Muncy and obviously Bellinger. But, is their window closing? I mean, Kershaw is not even healthy enough to start this season. Obviously, they think they're going to get him in April. But what do you think about the Dodgers here?
I don't think the Dodgers ever has a window that closes. I think they're really smart front office. I think the retooling is really the word. I mean, if you remember a couple of years ago what Brian Cashman did when they saw that they were out of it, making some trades and bolstering their bullpen minor leagues, in particular with the Chapman trade and Andrew Miller to the Indians. They had a couple nice trades that bolstered their minor leagues. I think you might see that as a little bit of a turnover, but no, I don't ever see the Dodgers, saying that the window closes and it's going to be like a 3 to 5 year build-up. Only because they can go out and buy the next whomever. If they wanted to. I know they didn't do it with Bryce for whatever reason, but they can if they want. So that franchise, I don't think would ever go through a few years where it looks like they're not trying to win.
A few minutes left with Al Leiter, MLB Network here on the Rich Eisen Show. What's with the Cubs? I mean, that's obviously an open-ended question, but you just sense some severe disappointment with the performance of last year, and wondering about their viability moving forward, even though that they have seemingly everything that you need. What do you make of the Cubs on opening day 2019?
They're going to be in the mix. I think, again, the NL Central to me is the hardest to really handicap because I believe that, like the NL East with 4 teams, Brewers, Cubs, Cardinals are going to be right there in the mix. And they'll be competing for that wild card as well. I just like what the Brewers did. I think the Cubs absolutely will be in there. They need for Chris Bryant to come back and bounce back, and better than the 13 home runs that he had last year. But the making of that lineup, and even if you look at their rotation, I think that Jose Quintana, I thought they might get a little better than the 4 ERA. They upped Kyle Hendricks, who I like a lot. Cole Hamels, is on his, he's older on the older side than the younger side, as well as John Lester. Pedro Strop as their closer. There's some areas where you wonder where they're going to lean on to try to improve come trade deadline. But this is a team that should have enough together that would be certainly a playoff team. Baez, moving over to short. I guess Addison Russell is now a bench utility guy. So there are some concerns there.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.